1. Selecting the passage. 2. Studying the passage. 3. Discovering the exegetical idea. 4. Analyzing the exegetical idea. 5. Formulating the homiletical idea. 6. Determining the sermon's purpose. New concepts. Measurable results. Purpose. Homiletical idea. Let's take a moment to review. In the first 2 stages of your preparation, you study the text to determine the exegetical idea and its development. You want to state the subject and complement of what the biblical writer wrote to his readers. Also, make a rough outline or sketch of the passage. How did the author develop his idea? Having done that, you still face the question, do I have anything to preach? While every good sermon is the development of a central idea, not every idea in the biblical text can be turned into a sermon. In the next stage, therefore, you submit your exegetical idea and its development to its 3 developmental questions. What does this mean? Is this true? Do I believe it? So what? What difference does it make? These questions deal with the meaning, validity, and implications of any idea. The questions should be addressed not only to the main idea, but to the supporting ideas and the details of the passage as well. This helps you decide what kind of supporting materials you will need to communicate the message of your text. You also keep your audience in mind as you answer these 3 primary questions. What does this mean? What has to be explained so that my listeners will understand the passage? Does the biblical writer explain his statements or define his terms? Does he assume that the original readers understood him and needed no explanation? Are there concepts, terms, or connections that modern listeners might not understand that you need to explain to them? Is this true? Do I really believe it? What needs to be proved? Is the author arguing, proving, or defending at length some concept that your hearers would probably accept? For example, that Jesus was human, or that Christians don't have to be circumcised? Is the author arguing, proving, or defending a concept that your listeners may not readily accept, and therefore they need to understand the argument of the passage? For instance, that slaves were to be obedient to their masters. Is the author assuming the validity of an idea that your listeners may not accept right away? Do they need to be convinced that what the passage asserts is actually the case? For instance, that Jesus is the only way to God, or that demons actually exist. So what? What difference does it make? How should this concept be applied? Is the biblical writer applying his idea? Where does he develop it? Exhortations in the Scriptures grow out of the context. Some sermons resemble cut flowers. The admonition of the author is cut off from the truth that produced it. The imperatives are always connected to the indicative. The effect should be traced to its cause. Is the author presenting an idea that he doesn't apply directly but will apply later in his letter? Where does he do that? How do you apply this truth to your listeners now? Does the biblical writer assume that the reader will see the application of an assertion? The writers of the Gospels often assume that the readers will see the implication of a parable or a miracle. In narrative literature especially, ask yourself, why did the author include this incident? As you work through these questions, jot down what you must explain, prove, or apply to your hearers. You will soon know whether you have anything to preach and what research you must do. You will see the general direction your sermon must go and what you must deal with in your sermon. Stage 5. In light of the audience's knowledge and experience, think through your exegetical idea and state it in the most exact, memorable sentence possible. In Stage 5, state the essence of your exegetical idea in a sentence that communicates to your listeners. This sentence is your homiletical idea. Remember that you are not lecturing to people about the Bible. You are talking to people about themselves from the Bible.